morning, good afternoon, good evening. We are tuned into another episode of Cooking with Asia, and my name is Asia. Today we are going to be making roasted squash and bacon with honey lemon glazed chicken thighs and roasted Brussels sprouts. Now, first and foremost, I have to give credit where credit is due. My inspiration for the roasted squash and bacon actually came from a coworker, so shout out to Neil. He came to work and said he made it at home and it was delicious, so I said, great, that's what I'm gonna make. And the honey lemon glazed chicken I actually got from the Recipe Critic. I believe a young lady named Alyssa Rivers runs that blog, so shout out to her. She is the inspiration for the chicken dish that we will be doing today. So we are going to start with the vegetables. Of course, we don't want to cross-contaminate, so it's better to get your vegetables out of the way first before you start dealing with your chicken and your raw meats per se. So as you can see, I've got just regular yellow squash here. You're more than welcome to do the butternut squash or whatever other variety of squash that you prefer. The grocery store just had the yellow squash, so that's what we're going to be doing. I'm going to go ahead and quarter these. Keep in mind the larger chunks of vegetables you have, the longer it does take to cook. So I'm not going to make them too small, but I'm not going to make them too large either. And just to make a quick note, I do have my oven preheating to 300 degrees Fahrenheit because I will be cooking the squash and the Brussels sprouts at the same time. So I've already rinsed my vegetables. Once again, I always mention this. Please rinse your fruits and vegetables before you start chopping because there is dirt on the outside and you don't want to cut into the vegetable and have the dirt residue as well. So I'm going to go ahead, cut the bottoms off of my squash, and be very careful when you're doing this. I just want to have this. All right. And like I said, I don't want these to be too small, but not too large either. So all right, and I do have a cookie sheet over here that I will be tossing these onto. And as you can see, these bigger ones, I'm going to cut these in half again. All right. Now, I mean, if you want to do these smaller, you can. If you like them, if you like thick vegetables, then you can leave them as is. But I'm going to go ahead and leave these. All right. And depending on how many people you're feeding, you may use all 4 squash or however many come. I think the store that I went to, they came 3 in a pack or 4 in a pack. So, I mean, depending on how many people you're serving, you may only need 2, you may need 3, or you may need the whole pack. So use your judgment with that. I think today I'm just going to be using 3. All right, so we're going to get one more squash here. Cut these in half again. All right, so I don't know if you can see over here, but I will show you my array of squash that I have. So like I said, not too large, not too small. All right, so what else is gonna go with the roasted squash and bacon is I'm gonna be using a purple onion. Now, you can use a white onion or the sweet onion or the Vidalia onion, whatever kind of onion you like. I just think the purple onion gives it a different flavor. It also gives it color. As you all should know by now, I like using a lot of colors when I cook. And so the purple onion does just that. And so I want these about the same size as I want my squash. Not too big, but not too small either. So let me just get some of this skin off here. right, so I'm going to give this onion and my knife a quick rinse. So as you all should know by now as well, I am an onion person. So I'm going to use about half of the onion. And like I said, I don't want them too small, but I don't want them too big. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut the onion in half first. And then I'm just going to quarter it from there. All right. So once again, not too big, not too small. And I'm going to break these up and I'm going to throw these on the pan with my squash as well. Just kind of evenly distribute them on your pan. And by all means, if you're not an onion person, I mean, you can throw whatever vegetable you prefer on here. Like I said, I just think the purple onion gives it some color. It also gives it a different flavor as well. All right, so we'll just throw these on here. All right, so we've got our purple onions distributed on our cookie tray with the squash as well. So another ingredient that I'm going to add, which is kind of a secret ingredient, is cinnamon. I know a lot of people, when they think about vegetables, they don't think about cinnamon, but cinnamon is actually very good with this dish. And I'm just going to sprinkle just a little bit. You don't have to douse it, but I am going to sprinkle just a little bit over the vegetables. It gives a really great aroma while it's cooking as well. So it's worth a try. I know a lot of you are probably like, what? But it's worth a try, so try it. And I'm also going to add some black pepper. I'm not going to add any salt to it. Like I said, we're trying to reduce our salt intake. That goes for myself as well. So I'm not going to add any salt to this. I'm just going to add a little bit of black pepper and the cinnamon. And also, bacon is going to go in this too. So that bacon is going to provide all the salt that we need. So, all right. So let me move this. Get some of this trash out the way. All right, so now I'm going to go ahead and get my bacon, because bacon does go in this dish as well. And so you can use whatever bacon that you want to. I like using the thick sliced bacon. And so, like I said, we used about 3 squash, about a half a purple onion. I'm only going to use 2 slices of bacon. All right, because like I said, this bacon is going to provide all the salt that we need for this dish. So I didn't add any more salt to it. I'm just going to use the salt that the bacon provides. No, bacon is not the best source of protein there is. It does have a lot. It is basically animal fat, so it does have a lot of saturated fat, but it is delicious, and eat it in moderation. Okay, I mean, if you would rather use turkey bacon, you could use turkey bacon. If you would rather put another source of protein in there, you're more than welcome to do so. But for this recipe, I'm going to do bacon, okay? And so I'm going to take the 2 strips of bacon, and I'm just going to cut it into small chunks, kind of how I did the squash and the onions. Not too big, not too small. And I'm just going to evenly distribute the bacon among the squash and the onions. And I try to put the bacon at the bottom just so when the grease gets going, it can kind of touch the vegetables and kind of serve as a method of not sticking to the pan. All right. But I'm just going to evenly distribute the bacon, like I said, among the squash and the onions. And once again, I only used 2 slices. By all means, if you want to stick an extra slice in there, or if you want to remove a slice, you're more than welcome to do so. If you do decide to remove a slice of bacon, I would recommend just using a little bit of this olive oil just to kind of give it a head start while the bacon is cooking, just to prevent it from sticking, and it'll also give it some flavor too. But I used 2 slices of bacon once again, and so this is what I've got so far with my roasted squash and bacon. Once again, I've got my oven preheated to 300 degrees. I'm going to go ahead and stick this in the oven. When we come back, I'll get started on the Brussels sprouts. So I'll see you in a bit.
Portions of this program are brought to you by Fairview Park Hospital, a leader in healthcare for Dublin Lawrence and surrounding communities, providing specialty services through facilities such as our Sleep Center, Heart Center, and Women's Imaging Center.
Planting time is here, and that means it's time to go to Roach Farm and Garden. We have all of your vegetable plants in stock, and we carry your favorite garden seeds. We have farm implements. If it goes behind a tractor or it's something you need on the farm, we have it. Our friendly staff will help you find any kind of animal feed or fertilizer you need. We'll even load it for you. Springtime is here, and it's time to start your next outdoor project. So make your first stop Roach Farm and Garden, Dublin.
Roach Farm and Garden, growing traditions.
All right, so we are back. Thank you again for joining me with Cooking with Asia. Just to give you a brief recap, today we are going to be making roasted squash and bacon with purple onions. I've already got that cooking in the oven at 300 degrees Fahrenheit. We're going to get started on our roasted Brussels sprouts. I believe I made this dish before on this show, but I mean, Brussels sprouts, they are really delicious. They kind of go with everything. They are a non-starchy vegetable, so if you're looking to get more greens into your diet, I really recommend Brussels sprouts. I think they're really good. So we're going to go ahead and get started with that. You see, I've got my whole Brussels sprouts here, and these are kind of big, so I'm going to be cutting these in half. But as you see, they've kind of got the bad leaves on them. So what you want to do is peel some of those bad leaves off. We do not want to eat those or cook with those. So go ahead and sort through your Brussels sprouts, and like I said, pick some of these bad brown leaves off before you get started with them. And one thing about vegetables, you can just about roast any type of vegetable. Boiling, of course, that's always fine, but roasting them, it just gives it a different flavor, it gives it a different texture. So I really recommend, if you're able to roast your vegetables in the oven, I highly recommend that you try it, because like I said, it's just a different experience than your traditional boiled vegetables. And once again, I'm just picking off these brown leaves, getting rid of those first before we get started. All right. So I'm going to give these a quick rinse. And I'll put them in my bowl. And I'm also going to rinse my placemat really quickly. All right. So once again, these Brussels sprouts were kind of big, so I want to cut these in half. And also, they have this really hard stem at the bottom. Of course, we don't want to eat those. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and cut that bottom piece off, and then I'm going to cut the Brussels sprouts in half as well. Okay. Now, obviously, the smaller ones, you may not have to cut them in half if you don't want to. But to be uniform, I'm going to go ahead and half those as well. All right, so we've got our Brussels sprouts, we've got the stems off, and we've cut them in half. I've got another cooking sheet right here. I'm going to go ahead and put my Brussels sprouts on the baking sheet. And the only thing I'm going to season these with is a little bit of salt, a little bit of pepper, and a drizzle of olive oil. And we're going to get those in the oven as well. Once again, you're more than welcome to season them with whatever you'd like to season them with. I like to keep it simple. All right. Like I said, a little bit of salt. And a drizzle of olive oil as well. Right. And I'm just going to give these a quick toss with my hands just to make sure that all the Brussels sprouts are evenly coated with the salt, the pepper, and the olive oil. All right, spread them back out on the pan. All right, and we're going to go ahead and stick these in the oven with our squash. Once again, I do have my oven preheated at 300 degrees. The reason for 300 degrees is because I don't want them to cook too fast. I kind of want them to be prepared or be ready to go by the time my chicken is done. I'll be doing the chicken on the stove top. So that's why I've got it at 300 degrees. So it doesn't cook too fast, but not too slow. All right, and both of these are probably going to cook for about 15 minutes, maybe 20 minutes. All right, so we'll get these Brussels sprout butts out the way. I'm going to give my cutting board a quick rinse in addition to my knife, and we can get started on the chicken. All right, so once again today I will be working with chicken thighs. Now if you wanted to do this with chicken breasts, you're more than welcome to do so. But me personally, my favorite part of the chicken is the thigh. So that's what I'm going to be working with today. Before I get started with that, I'm going to go ahead and get my butter. Yes, I said butter. We're going to go ahead and get some butter in the pan. That's what we're going to be using to kind of pan sear these chicken thighs with. And a question that I get a lot is, well, what's the better butter to use? And actually, when I was at the grocery store, I did pick up several different versions of butter just to see, was there really a better version to use? I looked at I Can't Believe It's Not Butter. I looked at Smart Balance. I looked at Blue Bonnet. I looked at Imperial and several other types of butter. And all of them were generally the same. A serving size of butter is considered a tablespoon. So if you use stick butter, which that's okay if you do, you'll see it's already got tablespoons measured out for you. And a serving size is actually 1 tablespoon. And I found that majority of the butters provided anywhere from 4 grams of fat to 7 grams of fat per tablespoon. A lot of the butter was made with palm kernel oil, soybean oil. Some of them were made with like a canola oil, olive oil type of blend. But all in all, I really did not see a better butter to use. So across the board, I would just recommend that you reduce your your intake of butter and or margarine, period. Because it is butter, it is an animal fat. It's not the best source of fat, but it does provide good flavor. It does help your foods from sticking to the pan. But just like I said, across the board, I would recommend just reducing your intake of butter and margarine across the board, regardless of what brand you choose to use, okay? But in today's recipe, we are going to be using some butter, all right? And I'm going to just be using about 2 tablespoons, all right? I'm going to be doing about 4 chicken thighs today in my pan. And so this is what my chicken will be cooking in. So I'm going to go ahead and get that in the pan. All right, and what I'm going to do next is I'm going to go ahead and kind of clean some of these chicken thighs up, because of course they do have a layer of fat on there that I don't necessarily want to keep all of, okay? So let's open this chicken. And so once again, these are chicken thighs that I'm going to be using. If you prefer to use the breast, you're more than welcome to do so. If you would rather use the tenderloin, you're more than welcome to do so. It's really just your preference on what protein or what part of the chicken that you want to use for this. Like I said, I'm going to be doing about 4 chicken thighs today. Yeah, I'll be doing about 4 chicken thighs today. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my paring knife and I'm just going to clean some of this chicken up. As you can see, this is fat. So I really don't want to keep too much of this fat on this chicken. So I'm going to go ahead and trim it, as they say. All right. And once again, it's okay if you don't get every little bit of fat off, but for the most part, I want to get as much as I can. So as you can see, it's not the best. I don't have every little ounce of fat off of this chicken thigh, but for the most part, you want to get as much as you can off. All right? All right, so we've got our chickens trimmed. And like I said, as you can see, they're not perfect, but you just want to try to remove as much of the fat as you can. Okay? So before I stick these in my skillet, I'm going to give them a rinse. Let me wash my hands real quick. Stay tuned. We'll be right back and we'll have our chickens going in the skillet. So please, I'll see you in a minute.
From humble beginnings with a desire to serve the Dudley community, Bank of Dudley has grown to 5 locations, serving Lawrence, Twiggs, and surrounding counties. Serving our community since 1905, the Bank of Dudley is looking forward to its 2nd century of community banking. Drop in today to any of our 5 locations: Jeffersonville, Dudley, East Dublin, Veterans Boulevard, and downtown Dublin. Bank of Dudley, member FDIC, and an equal housing lender.
When it comes to shopping for lawn and garden, there's one thing that you'll want to remember.
If you can't do business here, you just can't do business.
Take it from Glenn Register, owner of Hometown Supply in downtown Dublin.
Anything they need for us to do, we do. We get warranty with everything, new and new. You can get what we call a tractor style mower that's less expensive than a zero turn is. You can spend basically half the money and do the same job. It just won't do it quite as fast. Come down and look at what we have, service it, we get parts for it. We can take it down there behind the store. We got a place down there we cut, show them everything about it. Take it out, set it up, do the financing on it, payment where you can handle it. You can get whatever you want and just about name your game. This is a one-stop shop. We have a belt for about anything. Either bring us some numbers or bring your old belt in, and that's the key to really knowing, what you need. Yeah, we carry tires, tubes for mowers, replacement wheels. We can get just about anything for any machine you need.
See the man with the plan, Glenn Register. Call 272-0345 for more information.
If you can't do business here, you just can't do business.
All right, so thank you for tuning back in to Cooking with Asia. Once again, today we are making roasted squash with bacon, roasted Brussels sprouts, and a honey lemon glazed chicken thigh. So right now I've got my butter, about 2 tablespoons of butter melted in my skillet. I've kind of cleaned up my chicken thighs right now from some of the excess fat that was on them. So I'm gonna give these a quick rinse and I'm gonna put them in our skillet with our butter. And I've got my skillet heated to about medium heat. So you want the butter to kind of be bubbling. So when the chicken hits the skillet, it's already cooking. Okay, and I'm going to wring some of this excess water out. All right. right. So we're gonna get our last chicken thigh in there. Once again, I've got my skillet heated to about medium heat. All right, and it really doesn't take long for chicken to cook. So I want to cook these for maybe about 5 to 6 minutes on each side until they kind of get golden brown. In the meantime, I've got some soapy water ran. I'm gonna go ahead and wash off my cutting board because we want to get started on the honey lemon glaze that we are going to pour over the chicken once the chicken is done. All right. All right, so like I said, we're going to be making the honey lemon glaze that we're going to pour over our chicken once the chicken is done. So we are going to start with some olive oil. You need about 1/4 cup of olive oil, okay? So you know I like to eyeball things, but like I said, about 1/4 cup of olive oil is what you're looking for. So I'm going to pour this into my bowl. You also need about 1/4 cup of honey. Now keep in mind, all honey is not created equal. I really love honey. I love to put it in my oatmeal. I love to put it in hot tea. But like I said, all honey is not created equal. A lot of the honey that's in the stores is sometimes it's just high fructose corn syrup. The real honey, the real good stuff, I found you're going to pay a buck or two for it. But like I said, you need about 1/4 cup of honey. So I'm going to pour that in here with my olive oil. Okay. We're also going to add some Italian seasoning. Let me open this. All right, so you want about a teaspoon, maybe 2 teaspoons of Italian seasoning. Don't mind if I put a little extra. What else? We also need soy sauce. Now, as you can see, we all know soy sauce is a high sodium item. I do have the low sodium version of soy sauce. So by all means, if you're able to do the low sodium version versus the regular soy sauce, that will be a little bit better. But soy sauce is soy sauce. But we don't need that much. We just want maybe about a tablespoon. Okay. We also want some garlic. So I have some garlic cloves. I'm going to use about 2 garlic cloves that I'm going to chop up and put in there as well. I'm going to get rid of these little stems right here. I'm just going to slice them to start with. But ultimately, you want the garlic minced. Now, of course, you can buy minced garlic in the stores. That would be a lot easier. But sometimes I do just like to take my time when I'm cooking. And so I have whole cloves right here that I'm going to slice up and mince myself. but you're more than welcome to get the pre-minced version as well. Like I said, you want about 2 garlic cloves in our glaze. Okay. And it doesn't have to be perfect. You may have some little chunks in there, and that's okay. But you just want to cut them up as fine as you can. Garlic smells so good. I know some people don't like the smell of garlic, but I love the smell of garlic. Garlic is also said to be a heart-healthy food item, just saying. All right, so like I said, it doesn't have to be perfect, but you just want them in, fairly small. So I'm gonna go ahead and get this into our liquid mixture. You see our chicken's going. All right. And we also want some lemon. This actually calls for about 1/2 cup of lemon. Once again, you're more than welcome to do just the lemon juice in the bottle. But if you want to get fancy, then buy a whole lemon and do it yourself. So in order, once again, I've already rinsed this lemon. Rinse your fruits, rinse your vegetables before you start slicing. I'm going to go ahead and kind of get the juices flowing in this lemon. Just give it a few rolls on the counter. All right, I'm going to go ahead and cut this lemon in half. And keep in mind the lemons do have seeds. You don't want the seeds in your honey lemon glazed chicken. So do your best to kind of, I'm going to squeeze the juice in here and kind of use your hand as the safety net when you're doing this to kind of keep any seeds from falling in there. And if seeds do fall in there, just go fishing and pick it out. All right, I'm going to go ahead and put the other half of this lemon in here as well. Like I said, it calls for about 1/2 cup. Now, if you're not a lemon person, then maybe you can stop at the 1/2 and that would be okay. But if you don't mind, I would go ahead and add that second half of the lemon.
Celebrate your independence in a new Chevrolet from Dublin Chevrolet.
Get employee pricing on all remaining 2018 Silverado models with total savings of over $12,000. These 2018 Silverados won't last, so act now while they're still in stock. If a car is more your style, get over $4,500 in total savings on the 2019 Malibu LS.
Call, click, or come see us. Dublin Chevrolet, the only dealer you will ever need.
At Hangers Cleaners in Dublin, we really appreciate your business and strive for customer service and a better quality every single day. That's what we're here for. At Hangers Cleaners, we'll pick up and deliver right to your door, saving you time and money. Hangers Cleaners for all your fine linens, alterations, wedding gowns, leather, you name it, and we'll do it. Hangers Cleaners for your professional dry cleaning and laundry. Hangers Cleaners, the cleaner that cares. Hillcrest Parkway in Dublin.
All right, so once again, our chicken thighs have been going in 2 tablespoons of butter now for a few minutes. I'm gonna check them and see what they look like. They're doing pretty good. I'm gonna leave them on this side for just a few more minutes. In the meantime, once again, we have our honey lemon glaze mixture. This is a mixture of olive oil. Like I said, about a 1/4 cup of olive oil, about a 1/4 cup of honey. We've got maybe about a tablespoon of soy sauce. And like I said, today I'm using the low sodium version of soy sauce. We've got some Italian seasoning. We've got some fresh garlic cloves, about 2 minced garlic cloves. And we've also got 1 fresh squeezed lemon, minus the seeds, in our mixture. So I'm gonna go ahead and whisk this up, because once again, this is going to get poured over our chicken once our chicken gets done. So, as you can see, just a nice little mixture. Keep in mind, we still got our vegetables going as well. The roasted squash and bacon and also the roasted Brussels sprouts are in the oven at 300 degrees Fahrenheit. Like I said, it takes about 15 to 20 minutes to cook. So we kind of want to time it to be prepared or to be ready when our chicken is ready as well. All right, so our chicken, I flipped them over and I think they're just about done. I'm gonna leave them on this side for just a few more minutes before we proceed. And I just checked on our vegetables as well, and I believe that they are just about done. So once again, the vegetables being done will kind of time with the chicken being done so we can eat. All right, so our chicken is just about done. What I want to do is drain some of this excess juice off. Of course, when chicken cooks, it kind of produces its own little juice, and I want to pour that off so it doesn't dilute the glaze that we're going to pour over it. All right, so I'm just gonna, like I said, I'm just going to pour some of this excess juice off of the chicken. All right. Like I said, you don't have to get rid of all of it because it still has some buttery goodness in there. But I'm going to go ahead, spread out my chickens again. I'm going to give our glaze a good whisk one more time. And once again, this glaze consists of soy sauce, honey, olive oil, Italian seasoning, a couple garlic cloves, and some fresh squeezed lemon. Okay? I'm just going to give this a good whisk one more time. And still, I have my chicken on high heat. Or not high heat, excuse me, medium heat. Medium heat. I'm going to go ahead and pour this glaze over the chicken. All right? And like I said, I've still got this on medium heat. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a lid on top of it so it can kind of simmer. And then we'll turn it down. Okay, so once again, I'm going to let this simmer on medium heat for just a few minutes, maybe 5 minutes. And then I'm going to turn down the heat just so it can thicken up a little bit. All right. All right, so we've got our chicken thighs. They've been cooking, like I said, at about medium heat, probably the past 10, maybe 12 minutes. Our vegetables are also done in the oven, so I'm going to go ahead and pull those out and we can plate. So once again, our lovely Brussels sprouts, and these look delicious. Like I said, that brown caramelization color, that's what you want with your Brussels sprouts. Okay. And we've also got our squash and bacon, which also looks equally delicious. And so once again, those took about 15 to 20 minutes to roast in the oven. And our chicken is also wrapping up as well. All right. So I'm going to go ahead and turn this down. I've got my lovely plate over here, so we're going to go ahead and start the plating process. Let me do it this way. Just like this. I'm just going to drizzle a little bit of this juice over here. All right, so just to give a brief recap of what we've got today, we've got roasted squash and bacon. It's also got some purple onions in there. We've got roasted Brussels sprouts, very simple. Brussels sprouts, a little bit of olive oil, a little bit of salt, and a little bit of pepper. And we've also got our honey lemon glazed chicken, which was, this is a chicken thigh right here. Once again, if you prefer to use a chicken breast or the tenderloin, if you'd rather do a center cut pork loin or whatever protein you prefer. But that had soy sauce, honey, it's got olive oil, it's got Italian seasoning, it's got garlic, fresh minced garlic, and also, what else did it have in there? I think that's it. So yeah, but this is our plate for today. I hope you're able to try this at home. Like I said, if any of these foods that you don't like, substitute it with something similar that you do like. But we've got half of our plate, non-starchy vegetables, and we've got probably almost a 3-ounce portion of protein, which is how we should all be making our plates. Half veggies, 3-ounce portion of protein. All right. So thank you so much for joining me today. This is Cooking with Asia. I will see you next time. Bye.